Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to what's most likely going to be the last installment of the Let's Dive into Kratom series. If you're new to this, basically this is a kind of review where I've been going over Kratom at different doses and with different colors, all while undergoing a series of tests, where I report after how it all went. And we're finally here with the white strains, the color that's often regarded as being the most stimulating, that it can reliably bring on focus and a natural push. Kinda like caffeine, but it is Kratom, so a lot different at the same time. For this reason, I tend to actually enjoy white strains quite a bit and do find them useful as a tool. Dose can't matter with Kratom, but I find the stimulation is pretty consistent. It can be a good mood booster, and some find you may not need much for it to be effective. Nausea I find can be a bit more consistent, are more of a risk if you aren't careful. But different strains will have varying alkaloid content, which is a big factor to be mindful of. Some claim that white strains are the least fermented, leaving for alkaloid content to be naturally higher. We won't cover possible harvesting practices here exactly, as there's only so much to go on anyways with Kratom not being regulated. I will say though that I have found the effects to line up with how it's described, as you'll see here. We got 3 main tests at different doses, all with different white strains from different brands, so we'll get a good subjective look. I'm sure you'll enjoy this, so without further ado, let's dive right into it. Group number 4, white strains. Trial number 1, light, 2.5 grams. White Borneo, 3/5/2023. Okay, for this first trial, it's the only live recorded one, so enjoy this. Alright, here we are to kick things off for this trial, the white light dose, white Borneo. Starting with the questionnaire. Now the questionnaire, to start this off, we're going to have 3 questionnaires to this one. Of course, we're not going to be consistent with this since this is a development episode and mini-series, but starting with this questionnaire, this trial will be like, I'm just gonna say real quick, it will be more like one of the fleshed out standard procedures for future content. But anyways, starting with this first questionnaire, do you feel a drug effect right now? I do, but not too strongly, not as much as I thought I was. Again, this is a light dose, it's a 2.5 gram. For my tolerance, I had a little bit of Kratom yesterday, like a gram or 2. It was a red strain, red Sumatra, I believe, and that hit me really well. So I expected this white Borneo to hit similarly. It has metragedine content of, I believe, it's like almost 1.5, just under 1.5, and total alkaloid content of 2.2%. So definitely effective. But it might come on a little bit more. I just finished the last of my tea just like 10 minutes ago or something, so may not be awfully set in, but we're gonna start anyways because it has been an hour since I started drinking it. But yeah, I do kind of feel a drug effect right now, but nowhere near that much towards the right. Excuse me. 2, are you high right now? Not really. There's a slight effect, like it's not like I'm completely sober or anything, but it's like, a bit, just a little bit, a decent bit. I'm chilling, I'm vibing. 3, do you dislike any of the effects you're feeling right now? And I would have to say not at all. I feel not necessarily perfect, but like I said, I'm chilling, it's cooling, there's nothing wrong right now, so that's where it is. Number 4, do you like any of the effects you're feeling right now? I wouldn't say extremely, but I do like most of them, so that's why it is out there, but it's not like too strong. It's not like, overly euphoric. I mean, there can be improvements and whatnot, but it's still like a very enjoyable state to be in. And number 5, would you like more of the drug you took right now? And yeah, why not? I mean, I'll take a little bit, not a ton. I don't need a ton more, but I wouldn't mind like another gram or 2 just to maybe enhance the effects a little bit. But yeah, I mean, so far so good with that. So moving on with the test, we're going to start with the mental check-ins, starting with the mood. Mood, I'm chilling, guys. I mean, somewhat smooth. It is white. I expected it to be a little bit more stimulated, but I guess not so much stimulated. There is a stimulation. It's a very smooth stimulation. Anyways, I'm chilling with it. I'm flowing with it. I feel focused with it. I feel awake. I didn't get a ton of sleep last night, so it did kind of give me a little extra boost to get into the mood and groove with things. So that's very nice. And in terms of energy, it kind of goes hand in hand with that. I do feel a bit up, but I don't feel overly up or anything like, oh, let's go fucking do some shit or anything like that. Like I said, it's a smooth focus. I feel we're moving steady with things is a good way to put it. Sociability, I feel like I can talk just fine right now to some people. I don't necessarily have the desire to, but saying, you know, I kind of have a desire to talk to some of the homies, maybe hit some of them up. In terms of like functionality, I do feel like there is improvements here. So we're gonna do these the actual tests now, play these out, and report these as we go along. Alright, coming back to report for the word test. I did some organizing and specifically some editing, some proofreading for an upcoming video, and I have to say this went very well. I focused in just fine, and I was working on this before I started this video, so that may have played an influence, and it just went well. Alright, coming back after the creativity test and the food test. Starting with the food test, keep it simple. Grapes, just got some grapes, just some fruit. I wasn't sure what I wanted to eat. I had some chips I was thinking about. It's our some dark chocolate here, but I was just like, I don't want anything like too bulky, I guess, or too like solid. And so I had some grapes, so grabbed those grapes, washed them up, and went pretty good. I will say there was a slight tinge of nausea for like 5 to 10 seconds, I believe, just when I was just eating the grapes. And I have to say the grapes themselves tasted just fine, tasted good. Nice choice, especially with how liquidy, I don't want to say that word, it just kind of sounds a little sus, but with how like fucking gushy, that doesn't sound right either, but how just the moisture ridiculous. All right, you guys get what I'm trying to say, just how watery they are. Just a good choice to have after drinking that kratom. But then with the creativity test, I was just eating these grapes. During the creativity test, I decided to get into some graphic design. Worked on a thumbnail for an upcoming video, a story time, and I have to say, I don't know if my creativity necessarily felt enhanced, but it definitely felt on point as fuck. Because I was making some very creative decisions and just with the details and everything, and just thought like, you know, try this, and let me try this, and this would be a really good idea. You guys get the idea. So moving on. Alright, here I am back reporting for the meditation test. Had a little quick meditation session, nothing too much, and I have to say this felt very blissful. This felt very enjoyable, very relaxing, and just overall, like feeling wise, it was A1, just A1. But in terms of how the actual context goes, for me personally, if you don't know, I like to meditate to where I focus on nothing, where I become a state of nothing essentially. And with kratom, this tends to be a trend. Thoughts tend to just creep up wherever, which way, even if I have that focus there. When I have that intended focus, they just seem to nibble their way in into my thought space, and I just started thinking about this thing or this thing going on, or what about this quality of my life, or there's just that. And that's partially natural for meditation, especially considering I wasn't going for a deep meditative state, but I can just tell like it's more prominent than I would be if I hadn't taken the kratom. So feels good, but you know, not the best ever, but still very good. Alright, coming back with the video game test and the music test. To start with the music test, this time switch it up. I know probably with a lot of the other a lot of the other trials, a lot of other tests that probably was playing hip hop, Lucky, Blade, Young Lean, you know, those guys, like the codeine vibes, you know. This time I played some drum and bass, and I have to say it was very blissful. It was very kind of euphoric, not too much, but just very smooth and very enjoyable to put on. And I wasn't like, you know, bumping with it, you know, turning up like that, but it was a nice vibe and it had me going, especially when I was playing video games. Now for video games, did I say the video game test? Entertainment test, which I play video games for, obviously. Just did a quick quarter of 2K. Just felt like playing a little basketball simulation. Don't know, I do watch it a little bit here and there, and I do love to play basketball if you can't tell. That just went fantastic. Likewise with the other tests, I was able to zone in, focus in very well, and really just play very good overall. So both of these tests, very good. Alright, now to finish with this trial, the physical activity test and the walking test. And apologize, I might be just a little bit out of breath because I just got done running 5 minutes ago. So first off, the physical activity test. Alright, and it's a little bit windy, so basketball. You already know, go-to, that's my go-to. We jumped in right away, I was swishing buckets right away, found a focus right away, found a groove right away, found a lot of energy right away, and I was just moving with it. I probably hooped for like 10-15 minutes. I mean, I was busting shit straight off, but then, you know, getting into it a little bit more, once I actually warmed up, I was actually getting a little bit off, but that's just something I gotta work on, my own game and whatnot. Also with dunking, touching the rim and whatnot, trying to grab that mug, but hey, we're getting there. It's a work in progress. But hey, that went well, and I decided for the walk test, the walking test, let's switch it up. Let's do a run, because I was gonna do a run today. I've been running. If you've been keeping up with my snap, I'll post a run here and there. So did a 5K. If you don't know what a 5K is, that's 3.1 miles, and I ran it kind of like with the intention of a walk, where I was like, you know, not trying to necessarily go hard with it, but trying to enjoy my surroundings and just what I would do on a walk more so. But I will admit, I did feel somewhat tempted to go in a little bit harder, and did find a groove a lot easier. Though I will say, if the dose was stronger, I don't think this would have been a great idea. But considering it was just a 2.5 gram, a light dose, I said whatever, let's do it, and it went really well. So yeah, that's it for this trial. Thumbs up for me. All the tests went great. So moving on to the next test, trial, whatever. And I almost forgot the questionnaire, we can't forget this, the final one. For the second questionnaire, kind of about the same. Do you feel a drug effect right now? Kinda, not too strongly, but significant enough. Are you high right now? It kind of lines up with number 1, so that's why it's so close together. Number 3 pretty much stay the same. Do you dislike any of the effects you are feeling right now? Which is not at all. And number 4, do you like any of the effects you're feeling right now? Yes, I do. It's pretty enjoyable overall. And number 5, would you like more of the drug you took right now? Kind of about the same. Put it in the middle. I could do about another gram or 2, I'd say. And for the ending phase, do you feel a drug effect right now? Again, this kind of feels the same. A little bit different. Might have some of that anandamide high from the working out going on. That kind of lines up with number 2. Are you high right now? About the same. Nothing too crazy. And you know, I'm still under the timeline of the effects, so about the same. And number 3, definitely the same. I do not dislike any of the effects I'm feeling. Do you like any of the effects you're feeling right now? Number 4, about the same. And number 5, would you take more? Again, another gram or 2, I'll take, why not? Trial number 2, medium, 5 grams. White Hulu, 12/30/2021. Alright, so for the second trial on the white strains, we took 5 grams of white Hulu at the end of 2021. I felt this really quickly in 10 minutes, and it turned to be a favorable experience. This is a pretty uncommon Kratom strain, as this was the first time I've tried it, but it's thought to reference the Capuas River where it's grown in Indonesia. The soil along the river itself is considered sacred by locals, which is why this strain is considered so rare. At the very least, it's grown in the Hulu rainforest. But I drank this no problem and get started after an hour of ingestion. My mood felt leveled out. I didn't feel a strong push in any sort of way, but was just casual with things. I felt a bit more focused and content too, being at ease with things and what I had to do. And I take another mood note around 3 hours in, where I noted more of a stimulation effect and peak. For my energy, it was relaxed without much stimulation at first. There was still that natural Kratom boost. My sociability felt pretty much the same. There wasn't any noticeable enhancements or difficulties. For the work test, I did some cleaning, the floors if you're curious, and this went well. I was quick with my movements and focused on getting the job done. I would say my vision felt a bit more focused too, and just my overall attention to detail. For the creativity test, this went really well, as I got into this side project I was working on and got into some of the marketing, working out some good possibilities and strategies that we can take on in the moment. It was a very efficient flow and my mind was active with it. For the physical activity, I decided to run this time around. I was iffy about it, as I feel that's one of the few exercises we could do that will heavily influence nausea. So I started off light, then found a groove real easily, both in running and breathing. I wouldn't say it was overall easier, but getting into the right flow was faster. I ran just a little under 2 miles in 15 minutes. Not bad at all, but I couldn't see myself going for much longer. Then for the food test, I tried to eat something light, and I did not have an appetite one bit. I kinda did at the start, but over time, some nausea definitely came in. I think cleaning and then running most likely set it on. So the food test, I had to pass on this time. For the music test, definitely an enhancement. I listened to some drum and bass, and then some hip hop, which it was very comparable to other times I've had Kratom, creating a good degree of music euphoria. Nothing crazy, but a solid boost in appreciation and enjoyment. For the WOT test, I went right around when I had this nausea, which at first, it seemed like a bad idea. It could have just made it worse, but something told me to go ahead and just do it. And I pretty much walked the nausea off. Getting into a walking groove got me used to the feeling and it pretty much went away. So definitely a big plus with the walk. It wasn't entirely gone though, as when I tried to get into the entertainment test to watch something, I simply was too nauseous to enjoy anything. And besides this, we did do a meditation test at some points, where I got my expected effects. Kratom when meditating often causes my mind to wander, just with the current information I have, rather than clear my mind. So because of this, it isn't the most fulfilling activity. But with that, that was this trial. Started off good, but overall kinda rocky trying to do everything. Trial number 3. Strong, 8 grams. White Mang 7/16/2021. Alright, and for the third trial, we had to include White Mang. White Mang is one of my favorites personally. It's one that's always been a solid go-to for me when I needed a good Kratom boost. And with most brands, it's always been really good for me mostly. In fact, I've done it so much, it was the only strain I was okay with doing at 8 grams, which even with this, it was a challenge. Anyways, we did this July 16th, 2021 in the afternoon. I felt the Kratom hit me in about 15 minutes and started these trials after an hour. Getting this down was gross, definitely could have used a bigger mug, but the come up was interesting. At first I felt a bit up, but quickly got some depressant effects not even just 10 minutes after, but it did level out, giving a good body and head effect. I felt good and focused to start with my mood. My energy was comparable, being pretty balanced. My mind was a bit more stimulated, while my body felt slow and relaxed. I didn't have a lot of physical energy, but I didn't feel lazy either. I felt I could get around fine, but it wasn't promoted. So I was just waiting for the physical activity test. My sociability was slightly up and more enjoyable. There was more joy when talking with my girlfriend, so definitely a positive. For the food test, I wasn't looking forward to this, as I had no appetite. I felt this Kratom going down and my stomach processing it. I wasn't nauseous, but I just didn't have an appetite. But I went with a classic sandwich after forcing myself to choose something. And let me tell you, this ended up being a smacker. The taste of it felt more intricate and enjoyable. Plus it just felt good in my stomach to help settle out the kratom. So while I didn't want to at first, this sandwich would do wonders for me. For the work test, I worked on a report and replied to some comments. And like the sociability, this was very enjoyable and engaging. I felt really focused in and had no strain at all with this. Which with a high dose like this, I was expecting to be a bit slower, but I was really fluid and on point. The creativity test was also great, as I did some writing and then some organizing. Though I do have to know my intrinsic pool was the main motivator for this and not so much the kratom. It was a nice boost though to really get me more engaged. Then for the physical activity test, I played some basketball, which ended up being really good in terms of my skill and accuracy. But what got me here was my body temp. It was only in the low 70s, but it felt like it was at least in the low 80s. I ended up sweating really quickly and got hot, which kinda threw me off. For the music test, it went as expected. We turned on some opiate tunes, this time Little B mainly, and got some good euphoria and good enhanced vibes. It enhanced the walking test too, which the walk was great. I felt my body was light and the walking itself was just pleasing. The weather was nice for a walk at least. I would say things even felt slightly visual. Colors were a bit more vibrant. No strong sedation, just flowing. And then the entertainment test was really fun. I played this Olympic sports game with my girlfriend, and it was really cool actually. I got into the game quick and got competitive too. The focus aspect also made this really fun. So overall, this turned out strong, but not too strong physically, which I was thankful for, and got some good enhancements. Alright, so there we have it. That's all the trials, and officially the end of this mini-series. We covered 12 different subjective tests, and of course we had to kick things off with that vital informational video. So I think we reviewed this pretty well and show how kratom can be in various forms and under various circumstances. It's one of my favorite substances because it can be a very useful tool at times. Sometimes for recreational purposes, but most of the time I feel like it's more functional. Everyone can be different though, of course. And even though this review is pretty in-depth, this is really just how in-depth a subjective take can be. There's a lot to kratom, there's a lot to the body and mind, and there's a lot to substance use overall. I don't think we'll be coming back to review kratom ever again like this. We will get into extracts, and we might get into some other kratom things, like super kratom, some other alkaloids maybe, but this is Someone That's No One's official kratom review. If you enjoy this, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next. I'm gonna end it off here. Stay tuned for more bangers coming up. It's been Someone That's No One, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.